What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, spicy, scratch-made, amazing Thanksgiving leftover turkey gumbo, featuring our leftover mashed potatoes, our leftover turkey stock, and we also made some homemade andouille. Coming up! Hey y'all, happy Thanksgiving. I just wanted to pop in real quick to remind you that tomorrow is our Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale at chudsbbq.com, where you can get all sorts of Chuds merchandise and gear to stock up for your holiday needs, whether that's some Chud merch or some of our favorite barbecue supplies. And if you missed last week's video, we kind of did a mini tour of the warehouse. But biggest sale of the year, Friday through Monday, to get you ready for the holidays. We also just got the new Leroy and Lewis card game. It's pretty fun. We've been playing it. And look, I'm in it. This is some turkey. The very turkey that I made last week, and if you haven't seen that video, I deboned an entire bird, then made some sausage stuffing, and rolled it all up, and it was absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the best parts about making a big Thanksgiving dinner, is the leftovers. We've had plenty of friends stop by and grab a slice and make a plate with some mashed potatoes and gravy, and over the last few days we've had several turkey sandwiches, which this recipe is absolutely perfect for, by the way. But once the turkey sandwiches start getting old, it's usually time to take whatever's left over and make a turkey soup, because it's so easy. You know, we've got all that extra turkey stock in there, and because this meat is already boneless, it should be very easy. But instead of making a traditional turkey soup, I wanted to make something a little bit more flavorful, which is a turkey gumbo. Again, mostly just to utilize all that super flavorful, smoky, gelatinous turkey stock. But before we go ahead and make a gumbo, we need to make some andouille, because I am fresh out, and we can't have a gumbo without some andouille sausage. This is some pork. Ooh. Pat it dry. And what I got here is some chunks of some pork shoulder. Picked these up at the store. And as you can see, they're nice and fatty and should make for some really good andouille. Got a good fat cap in there. And I've got a whole video on this channel dedicated to how I like to make andouille. So I'm going to rush through this a little quicker than normal. But if you want some more detail, you can definitely go check out that video from last year. But for starters, we're going to get this all cubed up so it fits into our meat grinder. It's already chunked up, but my meat grinder throat is a little small. So just going to take a quick knife to this. And just like that, 4 pounds of pork shoulder cubed up, going into the freezer to get nice and cold. And I've also got a big old chunk of pork belly here because I like to have some textural difference in my andouille sausage. And that's because a lot of andouille has a really coarse texture to it, but I only have the 2 dyes for my grinder. One's ultra fine and one's kind of medium. So to get some more chunky studage in this andouille, I'm gonna cube up some of this pork belly. Oh, I can hear the cops in the background already. Some guy from New Hampshire is making gumbo. Take me away. Just making these into some little cubes, same size I would if I was using cheese or any other internal garnish. But of course, you can make these as big or as small as you like. I also did have this belly in the freezer for a little while just to make this process a little bit easier. And while we wait for our meat to get nice and cold, let's go ahead and get our spices together. Starting with some kosher salt, some black pepper, some cayenne, some granulated garlic, some paprika, our pink curing salt, some ground thyme, some oregano, and for our binder, some milk powder. And get that all nice and mixed up. Yeah. And now that our meat is nice and cold, through the grinder we go. Going through the coarse die today, just gonna go through one time. Beautiful, nice, clean grind. So now in we go with our little pork belly chunks. Just trying to make sure these aren't all stuck together. And then of course, in with all of our seasonings. And start getting those dispersed. And then go in with our liquid component, which is just some water today. 10% by weight of the meat. And all the water and spices include the pork belly in there as well to make sure everything is thoroughly seasoned. And just like that, all mixed up, looking nice and tacky. Going on with some natural hog casings today. Oh yeah. Tie it off. Snip the tip. And we case away. Now normally when I do this, I do it in kind of big, long kielbasa-like links, or maybe some C-links or something like that, but today I think I'm just gonna go regular sausage style. And just like that, all cased up. Again, you can make these whatever size you like, but these are a little bit easier to vac seal and freeze, and having andouille around is something I'm pretty excited about. So now into the fridge these go overnight to let that cure do its job and let these casings dry out a little bit. One overnight rest later, these are looking absolutely beautiful. You can see they tightened up a little bit, dried out a little bit, and you can see all the chunks in there, which look really good. But because they've dried out, we can now go ahead and snip them all apart. Looking good to me. Let's go ahead and fire up the pit and get some cold smoke on these. Gonna do a cold smoke on the old pellet grill today, which is a very easy and convenient way to go about doing this. And like always, I've got the smoke tube in the corner over here full of some post oak pellets. Lovely. And on the pit we go, keeping it on the wire rack. Well, we got some good smoke rolling, so I'm gonna shut this down and let these cold smoke for the next probably 3 to 4 hours. And that smoke tube's gonna generate a lot of smoke, as you can see, but not much heat. So we should get some really good color and some good flavor. All right, so we're about 4 hours into this cold smoke, and these guys are looking really nice. As you can see, looking nice and smoky and nice and plump. So now all we need to do is kick this thing on to about 225 degrees and let these sausages come up to an internal temp of about 150 degrees. Make sure they are cooked through. Should not take long. And just like that, after about 20-30 minutes, these bad boys are looking absolutely beautiful, nice and plump and fully cooked through. So off they come and into an ice bath. Will say, very happy with how these are looking. Very smoky, nice and red, happy about that. And they're feeling nice and plump, not too much leakage coming out, so that's good. But into the ice bath they go. That's just gonna stop the cooking process and help shrink these casings up to the meat, making sure we have a really nice snappy bite. And just like that, out of the water bath these come. I give them a nice wipe down with a paper towel to dry them off and make sure we got rid of any extra smoke, because everybody loves a clean weenie. But now these are fully cooked and fully smoked and ready for our gumbo. This video is brought to you by Perplexity. Perplexity is an answer engine that searches the internet in real time to give you fast results and clear answers to any question you've got with trusted inline citations. A lot of other search engines just respond with a list of links that you then have to go through to try and find the information you're after, but Perplexity skips straight to the answers you need and explains it to you in everyday language that's super easy to understand. And I gotta say, it's super convenient. You know, usually I'll just type something into a search engine and have to click through a bunch of different links, kind of compare and contrast the answers and formulate what I assume is the right answer. But Perplexity does that for you, saving you a whole bunch of time. It's kind of like just asking a friend to look something up for you and then just tell you the answer, but Perplexity does it a lot faster and probably more reliably. It's also a really great way to shop, because you can type in any product and it'll show you all the different manufacturers that make it, kind of compare and contrast them, and you can make in-app purchases and just buy it right there on the spot, which is really helpful this holiday season, making shopping a lot faster and easier. Let's try it out. What's the best boning knife? Gives you a nice easy answer and gives you all the models, and then you can kind of go through here and compare them with their different features and whatnot. And then if you keep going down, bam, there they all are. Ooh, bearded butcher's boning knife. I do like a knife with a sheath, and you can just buy it right in the app. That's very convenient. That just saved me a whole bunch of time. And I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit scared of AI, but when it comes to saving time and making my life easier and more efficient like this, whether I'm trying to find the answer to a question, find a quick recipe, or take the stress out of holiday shopping, I don't know, pretty convenient. I'm here for it. So if you're looking to make your searches a little bit easier or save some time and hassle this holiday season with some in-app holiday shopping, I highly recommend giving Perplexity a try for yourself. And to do so, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now. You can go to perplexity.ai, or you can click the link in the description box of this video. Thank you, Perplexity. So at this point, our veg is chopped, our andouille is done, our turkey is cooked, our turkey stock is cooked. Again, we made that last week. So before we go ahead and make our roux, I think we need to make one more thing, which is a chuddy Cajun rub, which is gonna start out with some Chuds BBQ snake bite. This is our spicy rub, and really is a great base for a Cajun rub, but we need to doctor it up a little bit. So in we go with some of that, followed by some oregano, some ground thyme, a little extra cayenne, because this stuff is spicy, but not too spicy. And then for good measure, a little bit of white pepper. And that is it. Just get that all nice and mixed up. And of course, you could grab some Tony C's or any Creole or Cajun seasoning that you like, but I really like the way this comes out. I've done this a few times before. And to get our gumbo started, I'm going into a pot with some Wagyu beef tallow. Ow. But but of course you could use any oil or butter. But whenever I'm making a roux like this, I usually don't use butter because we're making a dark roux today, and the whole point of that is to toast the flour. And if we use butter, we're probably gonna end up making brown butter, so you might misjudge the color of the flour due to the toasted milk solids, but that's just me. It probably doesn't make any sense. And once our tallow is nice and hot, we're gonna go in with some Wondra flour. I like to use Wondra flour because it's a pre-cooked, pre-gelatinized flour, which means it's not gonna clump up, and it's gonna dissolve into the stock and the gumbo really easily. All-purpose flour will work just fine, that's what most people use. But then you gotta cook your gumbo for a really long time to make sure that roux cooks out into the stock. So I think this will just give us a head start. And we're just gonna keep whisking this, making sure it's moving and heating pretty evenly, because we definitely don't want this to burn. You can do this really low and slow over a long time, like 30, 45 minutes, to make sure it doesn't darken up too quick and burn on you. Or you can just keep a really close eye on it, cook on higher heat, and get this knocked out in about 10, 15 minutes. After a couple of minutes, this has already started darkening up a bit, and you can really make this as blonde or as dark as you like. I'm gonna go pretty dark, but we're getting there really quick, so have your veg at the ready. Definitely recommend doing this one outside, getting pretty smoky, but smelling really nice, and that's pretty much the color we're going for. I hope you can see that. Pretty dark, but nothing's burnt. So now in we go with our veg, including a yellow onion, or maybe half a yellow onion. That one was pretty huge. 1 diced up green bell pepper, 2 jalapenos, our celery, the whites from our green onions. Make sure to keep stirring that. This roux is ripping hot, so it should soften these veg up pretty quick. And once that's cooked down a little bit, starting to get translucent, gonna go in with a big fat pinch of our little Cajun-y Chud Rub. Start out with a little bit, we can always add more down the line. And now that the onions are starting to look pretty translucent, we can go in with our garlic. I like a lot of garlic, but you do you. And let that cook for a few minutes. Oh my God, that smells so good. And once everything is cooked down, you can tell the volume of the vegetables has shrunk because we cooked all the water out of them. That roux has continued to darken during this process, and the garlic is smelling nice and fragrant. So now in we go with our turkey stock. Nice and gelatinous from all the smoked bones that went in there. And just get this stirred in and bring it up to a simmer. Looking good, smelling amazing. I'm gonna go in with another quart of our turkey stock just because I want more gumbo. Oh geez, oh wow. And while that comes up to a simmer, I'm gonna go in with a couple of bay leaves, some thyme, get that mixed in, as well as some freshly cracked black pepper. Love the pepper cannon. And I'll go in with another fat pinch of our Cajun rub here and bring this up to a simmer. So at this point, I have got the gumbo on the burner over here bubbling away. Just a nice gentle simmer. So we're gonna just let that cook away. I do have 1 reserved quart of our turkey stock left that I'll probably add here at some point just because it's going to start reducing and I don't want to lose too much volume. But just give it some time for that roux to cook into the stock. Let the vegetables keep softening up and all the flavors will come together. And while that cooks down, let's go ahead and get our turkey and sausage ready. This is the butt end of our little turkey roulade from the other day, meaning it's mostly dark meat, which should work out really well in our stew. Is gumbo a stew? I feel like that's a good way to piss off a Cajun person. And we're going to just start cubing this up. I'm not going to be adding the stuffing to this, but you could if you wanted to. Might be kind of weird with the texture though. And if some of it makes it in there, I'm not mad about it. All cubed up, got about 1.5 pounds of turkey here. And of course, we can't forget our andouille. Looking absolutely beautiful. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Look at that big chunk of pork belly right off the bat. Love that coarse texture on that. That looks so good. Highly recommend giving this technique or recipe a try at some point if you're in the sausage making world, because that is just a bite of happiness right there. Come on. Beautiful stuff. And now into the gumbo we go. Get this all mixed up, and now we're gonna let it stew for a long time. Oh my God, that smells so good. And how long you cook your gumbo is really up to you. You know, at this point, everything is fully cooked. So technically all we need to do is wait for that turkey and sausage to become warm, and we can serve it right away. But the longer you cook this, the better it's gonna be. You definitely wanna give it some time for that roux to kind of cook into the stock. Let all the flavors concentrate and come together, as well as allow time for that turkey and that sausage to allow its smoky flavors into the gumbo. So I'm not in much of a rush, so I'm probably gonna give this a good couple hours, maybe 3. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm gonna keep checking in on it periodically, stirring it, making sure nothing's burning. Again, we're at a bare simmer here, so I'm not too concerned. And we're just gonna let it roll. We're about 2 hours into this cook so far, and this stuff is looking really good. Thickened up a good amount. The color has definitely changed. There's not as much fat on top. Everything's kind of come together, and it's looking very good. The turkey is starting to shred, nice and tender. But there is one ingredient I forgot to add, and that is okra. And last time I made gumbo on the channel, I didn't put okra in there, and I got a lot of flack in the comments for it, but I think it's an optional thing to do. But gumbo is called gumbo because of okra, so might as well throw some in. So in we go, nice and slimy. Let this cook down for another 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and that'll add some flavor, obviously, and also act as another thickener, but hopefully it doesn't get too thick. All right, y'all, we are at hour 3, maybe hour 4. To be honest, I never really look at the clock when I'm doing things like this, but it's been going for a long time, and it's looking and smelling real good. So I think it's time we plate it up, but before I do that, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna pull out these bay leaves. Don't need those anymore. And if you were a true professional and threw in whole thyme sprigs, I would be finding those right now, but I didn't do that, so I don't have anything to worry about. But I think there's one more bay leaf, but we'll find it in good time. But just look at all that meat. That turkey is all shredded up. Those sausage coins are still holding their shape because they are in fact nice and plump. Okra has kind of become one with the gumbo, and I can't see a single vegetable in here because they've all just kind of melted into the gravy, but I'm really excited for this one. To plate up, we're gonna go down with a mound of some mashed potatoes. And I know what you're thinking. What? But down in Louisiana, a very common thing to do is to serve gumbo with potato salad. And because this is the Thanksgiving leftover version of gumbo, it just makes sense to do a mound of mashed potatoes. But you can always use rice. That's a little more traditional. And then around our mashed potato mountain, we're gonna go down with a bunch of our turkey andouille gumbo. And I gotta say, I'm very happy with how this has come out so far. Because in the last gumbo video, I got a lot of flack saying that my gumbo was too thick. So hopefully this one's looking a little bit better. Plenty of turkey in there, nice and shredded up. Got plenty of sausage coins coming out as well. And this is a massive portion. Next up, some good old-fashioned Louisiana hot sauce. Just a couple of sprinkles here and there. Add a little bit more heat and a little bit of acidity. Some gumbo filet, just for good measure. A little sprinklage. And then, of course, the tops to our green onions. And there it is, folks, in all its glory. Some homemade, leftover Thanksgiving turkey and sausage gumbo. I'm ready to see how it came out. Gotta tell you, folks, I'm pretty pumped about this one. I love a good gumbo. And with all those turkey flavors in there, with some mashed potatoes and the homemade stock, I'm ready. Oh my God. Oh man, that is so good. So flavorful. I gotta go back immediately. Good God, that is just absolutely incredible. So flavorful. Love the texture on that too. Let's get some with a little potato on there, shall we? Oops. I mean, where do you even start to describe the flavor of this? Right off the bat, it is immediately gumbo. It's Cajun, right? You can taste the cayenne. It's got a good amount of heat to it. The roux cooked into the stock to make that gravy is just that gumbo flavor we all know and love. But then on top of that, you've got the Thanksgiving flavors, right? That stock was made with rosemary and thyme and sage and garlic. So that's coming through with some really nice notes. It's definitely turkey. I mean, honestly, this is not far off from just a Thanksgiving gravy dumped on top of mashed potatoes. But then you got the spice and all the veg, and it's just, oh my God, it makes for a fantastic bite. The mashed potatoes, definitely worth doing. That's a great move right there. Just kind of, oops, piece of andouille in there too. That andouille is like braised. It's so tender. It's not often I cook sausage in liquid for 3-4 hours, you know what I mean? Definitely got a little kick to it as well, and it's bringing a whole lot of smoky flavor. I'm going back for another one. I don't think I'm ever gonna do anything else with my Thanksgiving leftovers. I'm telling you, the mashed potatoes in gumbo, that needs to become a thing, because that is just a fantastic eating experience. All the turkey is nicely shredded up. The flavor. And it's definitely very smoky, but not too smoky, which is something I was a little concerned about because the stock is made from bones that were smoked. The turkey was smoked on the offset, and then the andouille was smoked as well. But really, it all came together for a beautiful bite. That is out of this world. I'm glad I made a lot. Truly a spectacular bite. And I'm just gonna keep on going. It's so rich. Such depth of flavor going on here. That andouille is good. Glad I made a bunch of that too. I really do like this technique because what we did this year is we made Thanksgiving, had a big Thanksgiving feast. Then we spent the next few days making sandwiches and kind of enjoying the Thanksgiving food in its natural form. And then by the time we were sick of that, I made this. And this is just a totally different flavor profile that's reminiscent of Thanksgiving, but something that's much different and helps refresh the palate. Definitely doing this every year from here on out. The real question is, how am I going to do an official taste test with gumbo? Oh, I'll just find a sausage coin. I mean, before I devour the rest of this off camera, I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely incredible Thanksgiving leftover turkey and sausage gumbo. I highly recommend giving this one a try, you know, especially this time of year when it starts getting cold. A nice hearty stew or braise or whatever you want to classify gumbo really hits the spot. And if you don't make your own andouille sausage, this really does come together pretty quick. You know, we already did all the hard work for Thanksgiving, and then you could take the bones from the turkey, make a stock, throw whatever leftover meat you got into the stock, cut up some veg, let it simmer for a few hours, and you got yourself an amazing meal. And to all the Cajun people or gumbo enthusiasts out there, please feel free to let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below about my Thanksgiving turkey leftover gumbo, because I know you're gonna do it anyway, but I highly recommend it. It's very tasty. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.